I'm Alma. The apartment feels like a mausoleum now. The silence is so thick it's suffocating, and every corner holds a memory that stabs at my heart. It's been 6 weeks since he left, and I still can't believe how everything fell apart. It all came to a head that fateful day when I confronted him with the bank statements. He walked in, looking like a shadow of the man I once knew. Dark circles under his eyes, unwashed hair, and wearing the same hoodie for days. I'd spread the statements out on the dining table like a crime scene, and when he saw them, his face paled. "What's this?" I asked, my voice cold and steady. He tried to lie at first, but I wouldn't let him. Finally, he broke down and admitted that his parents were in financial trouble, on the verge of losing their house. He'd been sending them money from our joint account for a year, without telling me a thing. I felt like my world was shattering. All those times I'd asked about his family, and he'd shut me down. All those strained dinners where I'd felt like an outsider. It all made sense now. He'd been living a double life, and I'd been none the wiser. But it wasn't just the money. It was the betrayal, the lack of trust. I'd always been open with him about my finances, my dreams, my fears. And he'd thrown up walls and kept me in the dark. Looking back, I can see the signs. For 3 years, I'd been with Leo. He worked in marketing for a small startup, and on the surface, he was charming, handsome, and funny. My mom adored him, and my friends liked him well enough. We'd moved in together, talked about getting married, and I thought we were building a future. But there was always this wall around his family. I knew he had a younger brother and an older sister, but he never talked about them in detail. I'd only met his parents twice in 3 years, and both times were awkward, strained affairs. His father was a stern, silent man, and his mother was overly polite but distant. One Sunday afternoon in early fall, everything changed. I'd just gotten off the phone with my mom, who was excited about our wedding plans and wanted to coordinate with Leo's parents. When I brought it up to him, he snapped. "My family issues are none of your business," he said, shutting me down with a coldness that I'd never seen before. That was the moment I realized that something was seriously wrong. I started to notice the little things. He'd become more secretive, more distant. He'd stop talking whenever I asked about his family, and he'd get defensive if I mentioned money. I decided to take matters into my own hands. I scheduled a call with a financial advisor and started looking into prenups. I didn't want to be naive anymore. I wanted to protect myself. Around the same time, an old friend from college, Max, called me. He'd started a tech company and wanted me to be his partner. Normally, I would have told Leo right away, but after his reaction to my questions about his family, I decided to keep it to myself. Thanksgiving came, and it was a disaster. Leo seemed tense and irritable, and he snapped at my family's questions. I could see the concern in my mom's eyes, and for the first time, I agreed with her. Something wasn't right. As the wedding planning got more intense, the tension between us grew. My mom and sister kept asking about Leo's family, and I didn't know what to say. I felt like I was living a lie. One evening, we were going over the guest list, and I asked him how many people his family wanted to invite. He snapped at me, saying that he'd handle it. When I tried to explain that we had a deadline, he accused me of being distant and cold. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'd been trying to respect his boundaries, but he was the one who'd shut me out. I told him that I was just respecting the boundary he'd set, and he had no answer. That's when I knew that our relationship was on the brink. I drafted a prenup and gave it to him. He looked at it like it was a bomb, and he refused to sign it. He said that I didn't trust him, but the truth was, he'd given me no reason to trust him. He moved out that night, taking only a duffel bag, his laptop, and his charger. He texted me later, saying that he needed space. I didn't respond. I was too hurt, too angry. A few days later, my sister Hannah called me with some news. She'd heard from a mutual acquaintance that Leo's family was in serious financial trouble. His father's business had failed, and they were facing bankruptcy and foreclosure. I was shocked, but at the same time, it all made sense. The secrecy, the tension, the lies. It was all because of his family's financial problems. I decided to look into our joint credit card statements. What I found was devastating. For months, Leo had been making large cash withdrawals, sending money to his parents. He'd been using our money without my knowledge, without my consent. I was furious. I couldn't believe that he'd betrayed me like this. I called him and told him to come over. When he arrived, I confronted him with the evidence. He tried to explain, saying that he'd been trying to protect me from the stress. But I didn't buy it. I told him that he'd had no right to make those decisions without me. I asked him if he'd planned to ask me for more money after we got married, and he froze. I could see the answer in his eyes, and it broke my heart. I told him that I needed time and space to think. I asked him to stay somewhere else for now. He looked shattered, but I couldn't take him back. Not after what he'd done. 6 weeks have passed since then, and I'm still healing. The apartment is too quiet, too empty. But I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I've learned that love isn't just about romance and laughter. It's about trust, honesty, and transparency. I know that it will take time to move on, but I'm determined to find someone who will love me for who I am, someone who will be honest with me and trust me with their heart. I deserve better than what Leo gave me, and I'm not going to settle for anything less. Last week, Leo texted me, saying that he was sorry for everything and that I deserved better. I stared at the message for a long time, then deleted it. Some apologies are too little, too late. And some wounds take time to heal.